And wherever we look, we see cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. The same is true for major weapon systems, and particularly, my dear friend Yashit Singh, for air power. Yes. Back in 1944, the United States alone built 100,000 military aircraft, one every 4 minutes. The last decade, the United States Air Force, the largest by far and most important and richest, has bought 60 aircraft a year on the average, and the number is still going down. I don't know how many aircraft the Indian Air Force is buying each year, but my guess is that it would be a good deal less than 60. Okay? Yes, I know. To stick for the airport with the Air Force for a moment just to bug my friend, okay? But I could have done the same with weapon systems such as tanks, submarines, ships, and so on and so on. The same trends, okay? Yes, I know, everybody is always speaking about the high quality of modern aircraft. Well, I would suggest to you that much of this information that we all read about is misleading, often deliberately misleading, in order to get money, money, money. Sukhoi 30 is no more capable versus, let us say, an F-16 or an F-35 in the future than a Mustang was against a Messerschmitt. Only whereas in the past there were, let us say, 1,000 Mustangs and 1,000 Messerschmitts, now there is 1 or 2 Sukhois and 1 or 2 F-16s. So after half a day fighting, the war will come to an end because there's no aircraft left. A modern fighter bomber is no more capable against ground defenses than a World War II Stuka. In fact, it was much less capable, because to stay alive, a modern fighter bomber has to stay, as we all know, over 15,000 feet. A Stuka would go down to 30 feet, 30 feet, with all that means for accuracy and precision. Okay? Just imagine what a Stuka could do flying at a tank, not from 15,000 feet, but from 30 feet. There are also some historical grounds for believing that this combination of very high quality and very low numbers is typical, not, my friend Singh, of progress, but of decline, degeneration even. Think of battleships. In the 18th century, major countries had up to 100 and even more so-called ships of the line. The numbers went down throughout the 19th century. By the first half of the 20th century, the most powerful countries had maybe 20 or 30 of those behemoths, and we all know what happened to them. They disappeared in the face of submarines and aircraft. Think of medieval knights who by 1500 had become so heavily armored that they needed a crane to lift them on their horse, according to legend. And shortly after that, they started disappearing. Think above all of late Greek warships. Classical Athenian warships had 3 rows of oars. Later Hellenistic kings built warships with as many as 10, 5, 15 rows of oars. These monsters were so expensive and so few in number that they never fought each other, not once. And you know how they ended up? They were captured by the Romans who came by land. So this particular combination that we're seeing, that we're always talking about, of as conventional warfare shrinks, its place will be taken, to a very large extent already has been taken, by other forms of organized violence. Terrorism, guerrilla, insurgency, piracy. These, ladies and gentlemen, are the future. And against them, F-22s and Eurofighters and Gripens and whatever the Indian version is called, and of course also major warships. The other day, President Bush went to, I think it was Bolivia, and to emphasize his power, because of all kinds of drug problems. And to show how powerful he was, there was a missile cruiser coming with him. Well, I wonder what missile cruisers are going to do against drug smugglers. What nonsense! What ridiculous idiocy! All these weapon systems and the organizations that organize them, that operate them, they are dinosaurs. They belong to an antediluvian age, an age which is fast fading away. And what money is still being spent of them, in 9 cases out of 10, is being wasted and thrown to the dogs. Already now, terrorism, guerrilla, insurgency, piracy are by far the most important forms of war on this planet. And I just read the other day that in the coming quadrennial review of the United States defense community, there will be no more talk of 2 wars, but of many small wars in many parts of the world. So to that extent, finally, they seem to be adjusting. The record of regular armed forces, including, I think, yours and certainly including ours in Israel, in dealing with this kind of war is not encouraging, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, if you look back over the last 60 years, 9 cases out of 10, the forces that tried to combat these forms of warfare lost. And I only need to mention us in Lebanon from 1982 to 2000, you in Sri Lanka not so long ago, the Americans in Vietnam, the Soviets in Afghanistan, and so on and so on and so on. They lost. Why they lost is another question. But certainly their modern weapon systems did not avail them much. Sometimes, as McChrystal in Afghanistan has just announced, they were counterproductive. And as you know, he has just banned the use of air strikes in Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. Those who learn to cope with it, those who adapt with it, will survive. And you know what will happen to those who put their hands in the sand? They will get kicked in the ass. Thank you.